I've often said, Brant, that along with others, that American exceptionalism, which includes manifest destiny, is a central doctrine of American civil religion, at least as it's been traditionally taught in schools and promulgated among the general population. And so that's why many progressive Christians and others are rising up to critique such a view in our day. And I'm wondering if you could comment. My thesis is that Zionism has that same role, has become a central doctrine of what I might call traditional Judaism. And just like progressive Christians, progressive Jews, like Jewish Voice for Peace, like yourself and others, are rising up to critique that view of Judaism. So I guess what I'm really asking is a bigger question. Is there a redefinition of what it means to be Jewish in our day, one that includes a Zionist perspective and one that doesn't? It's a big question.
No, it's an important question. You know, Zionism, political Zionism, is a nationalist movement that arose in the 19th century. That's a relatively recent movement in Jewish history, that's centuries long. And for most of Jewish history, the notion of going back to the land to create a humanly created Jewish commonwealth in that land was considered an anathema to Jewish tradition, that only when the Messiah came would such a kingdom be created. And that is a far-off notion, that there's plenty of work to be done in this world to better the world, to heal the world before the Messianic age could even be contemplated. So the idea of Jewish return to the land really was spiritualized. And the land notion was a spiritual notion, not a political notion. Zionism began in Europe as an ideology very influenced by European nationalisms that were au courant of that time, that proposed Jewish nation-statism, really flying in the face of centuries of Jewish spiritual tradition. And it was controversial in the Jewish community. It was not necessarily widely accepted in the Jewish community of the time. There were lots of different Jewish movements of modernity that were being debated and discussed during this very important time of upheaval. And there was great opposition to Zionism from many quarters, most notably in the Reform movement at the time. It was originally anti-Zionist, believing that Jews should seek to be equal members of whatever communities they lived in, including the United States and Europe. That changed. A number of things changed that. I think the Holocaust changed that. And I think just the changing political world order changed that, so that Zionism became more of a mainstream, if you will, notion for American Jews and in American Judaism, to the point, and the Reform movement eventually became Zionist itself. And Israel as a nation state, you know, the word Israel, by the way, is a word that comes from the Bible, from the Torah, which literally means the Jewish people. You know, it literally means wrestles with God. Jacob's name was changed to Israel after he wrestled with the mysterious stranger at night. It always referred to Jewish peoplehood wherever Jews lived. But when Israel was founded as a nation state, it was consciously chosen to be the name of that state. But that's not the original meaning of that word. But that co-opting of that word speaks to how deeply Zionism became entrenched in Jewish life and in Jewish spirituality. But by no means should it be considered an indelible part of Judaism. Nation-statism is a modern notion. Judaism is a centuries-long ancient spiritual tradition. And I think there are many Jews today, including myself, who are reconsidering whether or not we want Zionism to be so firmly a part of our Jewish identities and Jewish tradition. There are growing numbers of Jews, particularly young Jews, but not only. I'm not so young anymore, who are trying to propose a Judaism without Zionism, a Judaism that doesn't assume Zionism, that Judaism that returns to some of the values of standing against oppression and standing against war as a solution to problems, standing against militarism as a way to achieve security, returning to this notion of creating a world that is worthy for, eventually, for a peaceful kingdom to reign. And safety not through militarism, but with solidarity with other oppressed peoples. And that is the kind of Judaism that many of us are trying to create and to promote.